Hello, today I'll be demoing the new version of Redacted.ai. As you can see, you'll visit the same web page as before, demo.redacted.ai, but you'll be greeted by a new user interface. First, we'll start by uploading files. In the old version, you can only upload one file at a time. In the new version, you can upload up to 25 files at once, and each file can be up to 50 pages. Of course, this is only for the demo. In production, there's no limits on the number of pages or the number of files that can be uploaded. So once I go ahead and pick some files to upload, we're going to go through and look for things to automatically redact. What we really try to focus on in this version is helping users get through documents really quickly. So even if the redactions aren't perfect, it'll be very fast to get the document redacted perfectly. So if you look through this file here, the first thing we do, instead of presenting the actual document for your review, we actually show you a list of everything we found. This will allow you to quickly eyeball and look for mistakes. So if I look here, I can actually see there's 13 people's names that have been found. I can choose to redact by confidence. So anything with a 40% or higher here will be auto-redacted. I can bump this up or bump this down, so I'll make it 57%. So right now, it'll only redact things that are 57% or stronger. So you'll see here it shows Patricia Strong, that looks correct, Loretta Tardo, and Reginald Duckworth. If you hover over a word like Patricia Strong, you'll actually see the text before and after to make sure it is a name. So this document is prepared by Patricia Strong and her attorney, it looks like. If I needed some more information, for example, on Reginald Duckworth, if I want, I can actually click the eyeball here, and it will actually show me all instances of Reginald Duckworth. So it says that this name only appears once on page 2. Patricia Strong, on the other hand, was 3 times on page 1, and you can scroll through. So here's the first occurrence, and then you can say next, and then show me the second occurrence and the third occurrence. So Patricia Strong is definitely a name, so we feel good about going ahead and redacting it. So now you'll see here, because of my redaction level, I'm only redacting the first 4 names. All these other names are not being redacted, but I can take a look and see if they're correct. Mr. Wise. So Mr. Wise actually looks like it is a correct name. So if I look here, a boyhood friend of Mr. Wise, that is a name. So a simple click redacts it. Miss Strong, this looks like probably, yep, this is Patricia Strong. I can click on that again. The word mediator is actually not a name, so I'm going to leave that unredacted. Strong is a common word, but it might be Patricia's last name. Let's take a look, and yeah, it actually is. So I will go ahead and click on that. Not so wise. This is actually a funny document from the American Bar Association. So you'll see they have some funny names, not so wise, but this actually looks like a name. It says senior partner, not so wise. Again, I could click the eyeball and confirm, but that is correct. So I'll go ahead and click on that. Again, not so wise. Wise, and Reginald Duck, and Mr. Healthy. That's a weird one. Let's take a look at that one. Yeah, Mr. Healthy, we saw that earlier. So that is a real name. So a simple click. When it has a white background, it will be redacted. So we've gone through and that looks great. Now we can go through and then there's a bunch of other things that we found to be less sensitive. For example, dates and currency. So by default, we have them unredacted. You can choose to redact them if you'd like. We found them, but this is something that we by default do not redact. So now you can continue to verify, and now you'll actually see the actual document and how it's going to look. So anything with the big black boxes is obviously going to be redacted, and the things in purple are other things that we found that you might want to redact, but based on our selections on the first page, we chose not to redact. So when we're off the page here on the left, you see the real redactions. But if you hover over the page, you'll see that it turns see-through, so you can actually see what's being redacted. Over here in the left panel, we have another quick way to glance over everything to make sure everything looks correct. And you can choose to do it by page or by type. By type is just like what we did before, so it shows you all the names, and I can go through and redact and unredact them. Or I can look by page. So on page 1, we found 12 elements that might be sensitive, and we chose to redact 2 on the previous page. So they're the 2 that we're going to redact, and here's all the ones that we're choosing to not redact. And that looks good. I don't think I need to redact any of these. So again, you can quickly eyeball it, but you can also look through the document here on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll through, and everything looks okay. If I decide that I did want something redacted, like 1992, I can click on it here, and then up top, click redact, and then that gets redacted. November 1999, same thing. I can choose to redact or unredact them all. So let's go through. A word that has a word that appears lots of times in documents, like the word London here. You'll see here that there's 4 versions of the word London on page 1, and there's 12 instances overall in the 4-page document. I can choose to redact all, redact only this one, or remove the redaction completely. But I'll go ahead and say redact all, for example, just to show you on this example. Now, all instances of the word London have been redacted. And no longer do you have to click page by page. You can actually scroll through. And on the right here, you'll see little circles on the words that will be redacted on what we're looking at, the word London, and you'll see actually all the redactions on all the pages. So you can look at the little thumbnails here, and you can jump to page if you'd like, but you don't have to. You can just scroll up and down the way that most people read through documents. So I'm going through and looking through here, and everything looks good. And if I decide that there's something that I want to redact that was not redacted, for example, if I want this whole paragraph redacted here, I can just simply highlight over it and then say accept, and now it redacts that whole section. And again, it doesn't matter if it was a picture or a bad scan, you'll be able to highlight over everything. Our software makes it fully readable. And you'll see here, the partners of the firm appear to just close. You click accept, and that phrase actually appears here on the left. And it actually looks for all instances of that phrase. So for example, if there's a common clause or phrase that you want to redact across a set of documents, you can just do it once, and then you can choose to redact all like I just did. You can go through the other feature you might want is you can draw, for example, if there's a picture and you want to cover it completely, you can just draw a big redaction over it and click accept. So that looks good. I feel pretty good about this document. I just quickly go through it and I go on to the next document. So now in the next document here, it looks like I can quickly look. That looks like a name. These all look like names. That looks correct. And then I can actually see there's a street address here. Let me take a look at that address. And it looks like that's actually a company address, so I probably don't need to redact that, so I'll unredact. And again, I can continue to verify. And then now I'm looking at this document. Everything looks great. Oh, that signature. We do detect signatures, but for some reason that one was missed. So again, I can quickly draw a redaction, draw over the signature here, accept, and then that looks perfect. And I'll go to the next document, and you'll see here now I'm on the third document. And again, looking at people's names, for example, Bridget is probably named, but I can take a look. And oh, yep, here's Bridget. And we actually did find the signature here, and we're actually redacting the signature. And there's a last name, Bade, so we actually are redacting that. So that looks pretty good. The word plaintiff refers to somebody, but it's actually, we probably don't need to redact that, so I'll take that off. And then I can actually continue to go through. And again, this is a public address, so I probably don't need to redact that. I can verify here, and everything looks good. Oh, looks like a number of it looks like a case number. So I probably do want to redact that. So I'll go ahead and say redact. So now that gets redacted across the entire document. So I'll go through and take a look. Everything looks great. I quickly look here on the left, or I can scroll through on the right. Everything looks great, and that looks perfect. Now I'll go ahead and say finish and go to your files. And now I'm all done. I went through all 3 documents, and I could download them all. For the demo, you have to download them manually. Of course, in production, we would write the files directly to the system. But that's basically how it works. We really try to focus in this release on making it very fast to get through a large number of documents. So please try it and let us know what you guys think. And the next features that are coming out are collaboration features. So for example, if you have hundreds of documents, you can quickly divide them up among several people and actually get some analytics on who did what, which user redacted the most things, and also look for discrepancies. For example, maybe user A redacted this term throughout the corpus, but user B didn't. So then you can quickly make a decision on, if there's what's right and what's wrong, and change things very easily. So that's coming up, but please enjoy the new version and let us know what you guys think. We are actively improving this. So our goal is to make this as fast as possible for somebody to get through a large set of documents. So if you have any questions or ideas, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.